You are listening to the So Now What podcast with Lana Manikowski, episode number 104. Thank you so much for joining me on another episode of the podcast. And I wanted to talk to you a little bit today about feelings of helplessness. And there's so many different things going on in the world right now that might have you feeling helpless and as though you wish that you could do more or say more or contribute more to change the way that things are happening in the world right now. And I want to first acknowledge that you are such a beautiful person for caring as much as you do. And there's so many people right now who are struggling, who have a lot of unknowns going on in their life, and maybe people who are seeing destruction and death in ways that they never imagined possible. And I want to just acknowledge that this is a really heavy time right now. And I had to take last week off the podcast because I feel like I've been dealing with a lot too. And I just want to tell you, like, it's okay. It's okay to listen to yourself and step away from things if you're feeling like things are really heavy for you now. But I'm back this week because I want to talk more about feelings of helplessness. And whether you're thinking about feelings of helplessness because of the crisis that's going on in the world right now, or because of your infertility journey and your road to childlessness, there's so many things that you might be feeling helpless about. And whatever it is, I want you to know that this podcast episode is geared towards you. And I want you to know that it's okay to feel the way that you're feeling, and it's common. In my preparation for this podcast, I read a study that showed that 70% of people in this world have at one point in time felt feelings of helplessness. And I've got to tell you, I think that's underreported. I can't imagine that not every single one of us has been in situations in our life feeling helpless. And it's such a common thing. And let's focus this week on what it is. If you had to target one thing that has you feeling really helpless right now, let's zone in on it. And it could be the crisis in the Middle East. It could be related to your journey. It could be something going on in your family, a workplace, anything you want. I'm just going to talk about infertility and the route, blah, 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 and the road to childlessness, just because that's what most people are coming on this episode seeking to learn more about, or in this podcast, that's what most people are tuning into this podcast to learn more about. And when I think about helplessness, it oftentimes stems from us thinking that we tried everything and we just couldn't come up with a solution. So when we feel like we don't have a solution, it's common that we feel helpless. And we feel helpless, we oftentimes feel in despair. We think that things are never going to work out for us. We maybe disconnect or disassociate from people. We might not show up in our life the way that we want to show. And all of that is totally normal. And that's one thing I really try to do, is normalize that so many people I know have these feelings of helplessness, and it continues to compound because they don't know what to do about it. And what if there's nothing that we can do about it except pay attention to the fact of what we're thinking, and that we're putting a lot of pressure on ourselves as individuals to be the ones to be able to solve everything. And I know that you probably want to solve these things because you wish that people didn't have to go through what we're either seeing on the news or what we've been through, or maybe certain stories that have had you feeling helpless in your life. But when it comes to infertility, what if we can just start to learn how to appreciate our stories and know that we tried everything that we could? And in this human body of ours, We did everything that we were told to do. We showed up the best that we could. We did the treatments to the best of our ability or to the best of our resources. And we just have to stop telling ourselves that there's something more that we could have done. Because I believe that you did everything you were able to do that was humanly available to you within your reach. So you feeling helpless doesn't have to feel, you don't have to feel helpless forever. If you just take some time to forgive yourself and tell yourself, like, I know you tried everything you could. Like, have that conversation and say, I know if you could do more, you would have done more, but there was no more for you to do than what you did. Like, how good would it feel to give yourself that forgiveness and that love that you would probably give to somebody that you knew who was going through your circumstance? I bet you would have told them all these beautiful things about how strong they were and how they gave all they could and did all that they did in the best light. I bet you would tell somebody that. And how about that somebody be you? I had a conversation with one of my students last week about that. Like, imagine the things that you would tell somebody if they came to you telling you about their journey and it was your journey. And imagine talking to yourself as beautifully and as gently and as gracefully as you would to that other woman going through fertility treatments, or maybe navigating the journey of finding out that she's not going to be a mom. And I really want to take this opportunity to tell you that you even listening to this podcast is you doing something. And you don't have to feel as though you're helpless because you don't have the answers to solve the problem. But all you need to do is realize that you're seeking something just by your ears being with me today. And I love that there's women in this world that are wanting to feel differently and maybe feel better or process things better, because the research that I did showed that 50% of people who had feelings of helplessness were able to create change in their life through mindfulness and through meditation. So mindfulness is just being aware of what you're thinking and what you're believing about your story, and understanding how your believing creates feelings for you. And when you have those certain feelings that seem to follow you around each day, they could be great feelings, they could be not so great feelings. Whatever they are, those feelings are going to propel you to take certain actions in your day and in your life, or maybe choose not to take certain actions anymore, or maybe shy away from doing certain things because you're feeling a certain way. So mindfulness is understanding basically the BFA cycle. If you've ever listened to the podcast episode on the BFA cycle, you know what this is. If you haven't, good time to go back and listen to it. But it's understanding that the beliefs that you have create the feelings that you feel. And with those feelings, you do or don't take action in your life. So that's basically what mindfulness is. And meditation, it's not something that I do every day, but the times that I have meditated and actually when I was going through fertility treatments, I did a ton of meditations. I used to do those Deepak Chopra and Oprah ones. I don't know if you guys ever listened to those, but I did a ton of that when I was going through my fertility treatments. And I still do some of that today, because I find when I quiet my mind and don't have all this stimulus coming at me all the time, I'm able to sort of quiet my mind a little bit and put some separation between me and these things that I want to solve for, but I just can't physically, humanly solve for as one person sitting in Chicago, Illinois. But also understanding where are you bringing these things into your life? So if you're somebody who watches the news all the time and then you feel really anxious after you watch the news, understand maybe the news isn't great for you to watch every day. Maybe the news source is not the best place to get your news. Maybe there's a different place where you can gather information from, or limit the amounts of time in the week or in your day that you're gathering information. Maybe it's where you're seeking connection. When I was first, figuring out how I was going to create this life that I loved without the children I thought I was going to have, I realized that Facebook groups were not great for me. Some of the Facebook groups that I was on was full of people that didn't really seem to have this desire to create something different besides the sadness that they had in their lives. And I realized that I needed to exit from those groups. And there were certain people that I had in my life that weren't necessarily bringing me the joy, or trying to meet that feeling of joyfulness that I was trying to create in my life. I wasn't going to get by certain groups of people that were close inside my circles. So deciding maybe that you need to put some distance between some people that aren't taking you to a place that allows you to relinquish this feeling of helplessness. And if you're feeling like you don't know where to go besides that, reach out to me. I know so many amazing women in this community, me included, who would love to connect with you and include you on a group chat, or have you be part of this circle of women who's so amazing, who really decided that they want to thrive and feel fulfilled, even though they didn't have the children that they always dreamed of. And if that's something maybe that you want to be a part of, reach out. I would love to invite you into my circle, because I love seeing this circle grow, because I know that there are so many women out there who are done feeling helpless about this journey. And it might just be that you don't know where to find people to go on this new journey with you. And I would love, love, love to have you be part of this journey with me. So understanding that you can change your news source, you can change where you get your information from, maybe change your friend groups or the circles that you bring in close to you. And they don't have to know, it doesn't have to be some dramatic exit or some dramatic cutting someone out of your life. Maybe it's just slowly not accepting invitations to certain things for a while and see how you feel. Maybe you'll realize that, you know what, you miss this group. And maybe you'll realize that you're able to process things on your own, and it didn't even happen to be the people in this group. But pay attention to how you're feeling when you're in certain circumstances, or with certain people, or doing certain activities. And then start to decide, maybe I feel better when I'm not with these people or doing these things. Or maybe I've done great work on myself and I realize it wasn't the people. Maybe it was me and my mindfulness and my mindset that can really create the change. So really paying attention to that and taking some ownership of those circles and those things that you're bringing in around you, and seeing how you feel. But I think it's most important to really understand that you don't have to have all of the problems to solve everything, and that you might not ever be able to solve what's going on that has you feeling helpless. And that's okay too. You're still a great person. You're still a loving person and a kind person and a well-meaning person, even if you can't solve some of these problems that are going on in your life right now or going on in the world. But most importantly, I just want you to know that you're loved and your journey is acknowledged and believed to be more beautiful than you might be believing that it is. And that even if your journey didn't end up creating the child that you always dreamed of, I believe that you tried your best. And I believed that you did everything that you were humanly able to do. And you did everything that was humanly possible for you to do. So we can just decide now that you don't need to feel helpless anymore about your inability to become a mom. And I hope that you know how supported and seen you are by me and so many of the women in our Thrive After Infertility community. I just see them as such beautiful women who just want to bring people in and accept people and help them realize how amazing their life can be, because I used to once feel like you did. They used to once feel like you did, and they have gone on to create such magnificence in their life, and it feels so darn good. And I want that for every single woman who's childless, not by choice, to know how great that feeling is. So I hope you have a beautiful week. I love you. And remember, it's never too late to discover your meaning. I'll talk to you next week.